What's up, guys, and welcome back. If this is your first visit to the channel, my name is Matt Samolski. I'm Matt the Car Guy, and on this channel I do car reviews, so hopefully that's why you're here. If you like videos like this, do me a favor, consider subscribing to my channel. It really means a lot to me. Well, today we're going to take a look at this 2022 Chrysler Pacifica minivan. Now, this is the limited trim level, and it was provided to me by Gerald Chrysler Jeep Ram in Punta Gorda, Florida. So huge shout out and thank you for those guys. Now, we're going to take it on the tour from the exterior, interior, jump inside of it, play with some cool and interesting features. At the end of this video, we're going to go on the ride together. So if you're ready, let's go. Well, minivans had their boom in the 90s. Everybody wanted the minivan. The families were kind of flocking into the dealerships. They were buying, and all of the manufacturers had minivans in their lineups. Now, there's only 4 remaining. There's Chrysler Pacifica, Toyota Sienna, Honda Odyssey, and Kia Carnival. That's it. Everybody else kind of moved on, and the minivans gave way to the SUVs. A lot of people like those too. But there's certain things about the minivans that you will never get with the SUV. Well, one of the things is, look how low it sits to the ground, and the sliding doors open, so it's a lot easier to get in and out than the SUV. And it's especially important if you have young kids, maybe elderly family members, or somebody with the moving disabilities. That's super important for that. Also, the lower proximity to the ground, the long wheelbase makes it for a nice and super comfortable ride. And it also gives you tons of space for cargo on the interior. And a lot of the minivans manufacturers put some crazy features on the interiors of them to make families buy them, right? To make it more appealing to the families. And we're going to explore some of them. There's a lot of cool things about it. Now, let's take a look at the front end of this vehicle. Well, it's a minivan, right? There's not much that can be done. It's kind of got this short hood, does have this indent in the middle. If you like this color, it's called Velvet Red Pearl, and it's part of the premium color scheme on the Chrysler. Now, there's only 2 colors that you don't pay extra with Chrysler Pacifica. That's white and black. Everything else you have to pay extra. Not much, but this is an extra color for it. Now, it comes standard equipped with the fully LED lights that encompasses all of the turn signals, the high beams, the low beams. Everything is right here in this headlight unit. And if you move down in here, you see that this particular one has a fog lights as well. Okay, it does have this trim piece over here. This is just for decoration. It's piano black with chrome, and that kind of goes into this lower grille. Now, that lower grille, you see this portion right here, that's where a lot of the safety technology, the radar control technology hides. You also have the front parking sensors, and this grille portion right here, it's open. It allows for a lot of air to get in, help with the cooling of the engine right here, Chrysler logo, and then this chrome trim encompasses that whole grille. So it's pretty eye-pleasing, but like I said, it's a minivan, so there's nothing crazy about it. Now, let's see what powers up this thing. Well, let's take a look at what's hiding underneath the hood, and this is a tried and true 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 engine, 282 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. Now, this one is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and because this vehicle is an all-wheel drive, it delivers the power to all 4 wheels. Now, I gotta tell you, one thing that I hate about it, now this vehicle is over 50 grand and still has this little tiny little prop stick in here. Okay, you know I'm stickler about it. I don't do prop sticks very well. I think that should be eliminated and replaced with the hood struts. Well, before we take a look at the side of this vehicle, let's talk about the evolution of this. Well, the first minivans was introduced in the early 80s, actually by Chrysler. It was the Dodge Caravan, and it took the market by storm. What did it do? It replaced a big, bulky station wagon, usually with the huge engine. And the station wagons, they had a lot of room. They had tons of room for cargo, not as much for passengers. The ones that were available with the third row seats, well, kind of a weird setup, right? The two first rows were facing front. The third row were usually kind of those captain chairs that were flipped into the back. So the kids that were sitting in the third row seat, they were looking at the road behind you. Now, that was not the safest way to travel, but that's what the station wagons were all about. So no wonder when the minivans first came in and they had the smaller engines, they gave way from the 8-cylinder motors to the V6s and the 4-cylinder engines, and now all of a sudden we had something that had a better gas mileage, more cargo and passenger capacity, and you didn't spend tons of gasoline. So now let's take a look at this 2022 model year. Now, it's nice, it's polished, but there's nothing crazy. There's not too much that you can do to a minivan. So let's take a look at the wheel and tire setup. Now, you have 245/60 on the 18-inch rim, aluminum rim. Now, if you look in the back, you have this huge rotor, so there's a lot of emphasis on the safety. All four-wheel disc brakes, a lot of safety equipment on this vehicle, including that camera right on the side over here. So it does have the 360 view, turn signals into the mirror cap. Top of the mirror cap is in chrome, as well as the surroundings of all the windows, and then the chrome trim at the bottom of the door. There's a little bit of chrome also on the door handles. You do have a regular keyhole. Now, does this have a smart entry system? I do have the key on me, so I want to check this out. Well, if you press this button, does it lock? It should, but it's probably not set up for this. But I gotta tell you, one of the coolest things about any of the minivans is the ability to open this sliding door. And this is so convenient, especially if you have a family and the little ones are running around. You just hit this button open, let them get in, get situated. If you're carrying the groceries and you want to put those in, you can also power open the liftgate, throw it in there. I'm gonna get into a lot of that cargo area in just a little bit, but before we do that, let's move on to the back and check that out first. Pretty sleek in the back, right? I mean, I like the setup for the taillights, the fully LED taillights that incorporate everything, the turn signals, the backup lights right here, and then the light strip go across the entire gate area. Chrysler logo right on top of here. It does have the wiper, third brake light, and then this is where you open the gate. You can open it several different ways. I'll show you that in a second. Pacifica spelled out. This is limited all-wheel drive, so all-wheel drive, that's an important portion of it. Reflector lights, chrome trim, no visible exhaust at the back. Now, like I said, the gate can be opened several different ways from the inside of the vehicle, from the remote, which I'm gonna do right now. Press the button twice. The gate opens pretty quick, pretty nice and tall. I can fit underneath it easily. I'm 6 feet tall, have plenty of clearance. Let's check this out. Cargo and space, those are the two main reasons why people consider a minivan. Now look behind the third row seat. It actually has almost like a trunk, has plenty of room inside it, and then it actually has a double function because that's where the seats will fold if you don't need the third row seats. Now let's check out a couple things over here. First of all, you have this power switch over here. This is what closes and opens the gate. Now you have a stow and vac. Now there's a vacuum cleaner in here. How cool is that? I'm going to show you where that is in just a little bit. And then the way you fold down the seats on the limited trim, now you can fold out one or two or both of them, okay? Right, left, or both. We can actually hit that button in the middle right here. So right, both, and then we can normal, we can stow it right here. Look at this. Here's what's happening. Not the fastest thing out there, but okay, if you have a minute. There you go. The seats disappear in this well that's behind the third row seat. And now I have one of the seats that I also folded down in the middle row, and that folds straight into the floor. I'm going to show you how to bring it back up and fold it back so you have a better idea. But that's pretty cool. Look, 3 people can sit in here and you can still probably move a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, what's pretty cool over here too, since we are already in the 3rd row seat kind of, you can take a look at the 3rd row windows, and you have this sunshade that's over here, okay? That's manual sunshade. You can actually protect the kids from being blinded by the sun in the 3rd row. And then you have the controls for the recliner in there. You also have a speaker. That's pretty cool. Now, do you have any connectivity? Yeah, but you're gonna have to be a passenger. On the right-hand side, you have the USB-C and the USB, as well as the cup holders. So I guess your favorite child's gonna sit on the right-hand side and not so favorite on the left-hand side. Well, let's move on to the middle row seat and check them out. Oh, by the way, just so you don't work too hard, you can actually put them back in the normal position by using this button over here. Well, check this out, guys. This vehicle is fully automated. Now you have this remote right here. It does a lot of things. You press this button twice, there you go. Your gate opens up. You press this button twice, and now you have the sliding doors open. Now this is especially important if you are a family on the go. You have a lot of kids, bunch of stuff in your hands to move it. Now we're going to get this camera a little bit closer. I'm going to jump inside of it. I'm going to show you how much room we have in this 2nd row seat. Now it's really easy to get in, so that's why it's a great option for families, people that have a hard time stepping over. Really easy to get in and out. Now the seat itself, it's fairly comfortable. I wish it was a little bit wider, like you see on some of the other models. It is the only adjustment that you can do on this seat actually is recline it, right? You can't really move it back and forth, okay? Now on some of the competitors, seat actually moves back and forth, but because of this stow and go thing, it only sits in one position. But you do have plenty of room. I do have plenty of headroom over here too, even with this big panoramic sunroof. Shoulder room is not an issue, and I do have this little armrest over here as well. So let me show you the rest of this interior. One of the things about these middle row seat is that you can actually hide them in the floor without taking them out of the van. So they call it the stow and go. Chrysler had it for quite a while, and let's see if I'm going to be able to do that without dropping the camera. So one-hand operation, is it possible? Let's check this out. All right, so first of all, what you need to do is you need to move this front seat, and there's a little button for that. So you press this button and it's going to move this seat out of the way. Right? So once this seat is out of the way, all I need to do is actually open this compartment that's underneath here and get this out of the way, right? So while I have this out of the way, there's a little stow and go pull that I need to do. So I pull this, drop it inside, push it down with my hand, and then do this. All right, was that easy? Okay, that's pretty easy. Now, mind it, I have a camera in my hand, so I only did it with one hand. Let's see if I can do it the reverse, because that seems to be a little bit harder. Again, I need to open this compartment, get it out of the way, put it in this locked position. There's this little stow and go seat. Move it back up, okay? Recliner and up and running. Now, all we have to do about this is put it back where it should be, right underneath this chair right here. Boom. And we are all set to go. Now, I don't need to get in front, open the front door to move the seat back. All I have to do is press this button and it does it for me. Now, I gotta tell you, the seats, like I said, they're not the most comfortable. Well, they are comfortable, but they're probably a little bit too narrow for my posture, but they are fairly comfortable. And Nappa leather, they have these armrests, they recline, so pretty cool, right? The only thing is they don't go back and forth. So this is the room that you have in the 3rd row seat. I'm actually going to jump in there in just a second to see how it is. But before we do that, let's see what we have. This rear door panel right here. Let's take a look. All right, so what do we have? We have a door handle. We have the auto 4 the window. By the way, this window lowers up just like a regular car. It also does have a manual sunshade, which is a very important feature. Now it also has the heated rear seats, which are right here. This is for your stow and go, that move this seat forward. On the seat itself, you have the seat back pockets. You can put your like a laptop or iPad or something like this, but you also have the USB and USB-C ports in both driver and passenger seats. So there's a lot of connectivity. That's a lot of families are going to be using that for sure. Now, how do you open the door? They can open the door a couple different ways. You can pull on the door handle and it does open. If you didn't want to do it, there's a little button right over here. You can press this button and the door will close. And then moving up here, we have a control panel for the climate control for the back, and then you have your temperature control, fan control, and then you have different modes and a screen that displays the temperature and all that stuff. Now, this is the third row seat. Let me move back in here, see how comfortable it is. Well, I'm 6 feet tall, and I still have some distance between my knees and the seat in front of me. Now, this seat is stationary. They can also recline it a little bit more if they wanted to, and still will have some room for my knees. So not bad at all. It does have more room than on the SUV. It also sits down a little bit lower, which is a pretty cool feeling. And like I said before, on the right hand side you have all this connectivity. So you have the USB-C, USB, and then you have the ability to control the recliner of the seat that you're sitting in. And cup holders, a little bit more storage. That's the third row seat. Let's move on to the front row. Oops, before we get to the first row, I need to clean up this mess. What do I do? Well, Chrysler thought of that because we have a vacuum cleaner right here. This is the Stow and Vac. Okay, so here's your vacuum nozzle right here. There's a power button. All I have to do is just turn this on and I can clean up all of this stuff. Look at this, nice and easy, okay? And I don't have to worry about all this dirt that usually the kids mess it up, right? So because this is a minivan, right? The minivans are basically targeted for families. The families have kids, and the best things that kids are at is making a mess. So for those of you that have little kids, you know that, right? So let's get into the front seat, but before we do that, let's see how this vehicle sounds. We're closing the door, and that's okay. The vehicle is running, that's why it's making this noise. So take a look at the door panel over here. You know, the one complaint that I would have on the $50,000 vehicle is that this is all hard plastic. Kind of looks a little bit cheap. It still does have this leather wrapped armrest, and you do have the window mirror lock controls over here. A little bit of this wood looking trim over here. Not sure if I'm liking it or not. And then you have 2 memory seats, a little bit more storage underneath here, and a lot more storage at the bottom of the door. Harman Kardon is the stereo that you get with this Pacifica Limited. And move on, and here you can see Pacifica on the door sill. You do have the electric seat control, power seat control. The seats are nicely profiled, a lot more comfortable than the back row seat. But then again, this is the chief that's riding in here, right? So what else do we have here? Underneath here you have a lot more storage underneath this console that creates this room that you can put a purse in here, maybe a little backpack, something like this that's out of the way. And on the left hand side of the steering wheel you have your light controls, your dimmer switches, etc. And then let's jump inside of it. Interior of this 2022 Chrysler Pacifica. In the front, it's very eye-pleasing. Now, what I would like to see in the back seat that I didn't see is the entertainment system. And I know the Pinnacle would come with 2 separate screens. Now, this one doesn't have it, but nevertheless, you can use iPads or any type of tablets for the kids to get occupied. Well, let's concentrate on here. So first of all, we have this nice steering wheel, and I gotta tell you, it's very nice to the touch. It's on the thicker side, which fits in my hands perfectly in here. And it also has this leather wrap and contrast stitching over here. You have some buttons on the left and the right hand side. So on the right hand side, it looks like this is all cruise control buttons, and also the control to set up the distance between the car and the car in front of you. By the way, this is the Adaptive Cruise Control Plus that allows you to go and stop and go traffic too. So it's from 0 2 and X miles per hour, that adaptive cruise control. So it's going to follow the car even at the stop and go, which is important, right? Now, this is basically what controls what's going on in the middle of the instrument cluster, which we're going to get in there. And then you have the voice control, hang up and pick up on the phone buttons. And let's move on to the instrument cluster over here. So on the right hand side you have the speedometer, on the left hand side you have a tachometer, in the middle you have the screen that's semi customizable. And let's see what we have in here. So screen setup, messages, audio, stop start, not ready. It says what it says: stop start, not ready, driver seat unbuckled, sorry. Trip info, fuel economy. So as far as the fuel economy, you're looking at 20 combined, 17 and 25. This is an all-wheel drive. You get a little bit better gas mileage with the front-wheel drive, and you get a lot better gas mileage with the hybrid. So if gas mileage is your thing, you might want to consider the other two vehicles, but all-wheel drive, I think it would be my choice. Now, what else do we have in here? We have the driver's assist, vehicle info, so we can go through some of the options here. So you have the coolant temperature, trans temperature, oil pressure, oil life, battery voltage, and back to tire pressure. And then you have the speedometer that you can press in here. Now press OK for miles per hour. So now you can see it's in kilometers. We're going to press OK and hold it. So that changes to miles per hour. Now let's move on to the main infotainment system. So what we have here is this 10.1-inch screen. This is the new Uconnect 5 system, which I found very responsive and very informative in other models. So now this one has this film on top of it, so in case you see a little bit of a glare, that's because that's what it has. So at the bottom of here you have some shortcuts. So here's your home button, and that's how it you can customize it actually. But what we have here, we have the radio display and we have the navigation. And if you want to make one of those full screen, all you have to do is press this corner button over here. Here's your navigation. Now we have your media. Basically your sources are FM, XM, and AM, and of course you have your Bluetooth media, or you have the USB media. Comfort, that's basically your climate control settings. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Now you do have front and rear, so you can control what's going on in front and the rear seats as well. You're in control, and you can turn off that rear control so people don't mess with it. Navigation, we've seen that before. Phone, you can connect your phone. It does have the wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, which is a very, very nice feature. And then we have the vehicle controls. Now the third row headrest fold, this is pretty cool, because if you are sitting in here, it's going to be really a long way to get there to fold it down. You have a surround view camera. Take a look at this. And you have a little bit of a disappointment here as far as the quality of the camera. It's not horrible. It does have the trajectory lines, active trajectory lines that you can see. The camera could be a little bit better quality in my opinion. You have different angles on the camera. Front view camera, front view narrow angle. Now you have the trailer camera basically that aligns your trailer hitch with the trailer if you had one. So that's your camera over here. One of the things that it said here too is your top view and the rear view. On top of here, you have some shortcuts for the temperature over here. You can actually make the seats cooled in the front or heated. It does have the heated steering wheel as well. 86 degrees out there, so it's not the hottest day out here. And let's move on to the apps. Basically, categories: AM radio, audio settings, auxiliary cable, Bluetooth device manager, media, Sirius. Now we have comfort apps, okay, and you can make any of those favorite apps: navigation, phone, Android Auto, device manager, etc. And then you have system apps, driver profiles, Wi-Fi hotspot, other. You can have Alexa, weather app if you'd like to, so you can put those into the app category over here. Very nice, big enough and bright enough. One of the complaints would be the rear view camera is not the best quality, especially on the minivan where they put so much emphasis and attention to the safety. I think it should be improved a little bit. So now you have the manual shortcuts. Okay, so that's your volume control and the power button. Now this is your active park sense. Basically you can turn on or off your parking sensors. Lane keep assist, this automatic engine start stop button, and then you can turn off your traction control. Mute everything and turn the screen off if you'd like to. See, that's what it does. Turn it back on. They have controls for your climate control over here. Now, as far as the shifter, I've seen something similar on some of the Ram pickup trucks. This is that dial shifter. So that's how you change your gears, drive, and this is your low gear if you'd like to. Parking brake is right here, and this is it. Now, moving down below, you have a little bit of more storage over here, and if you'd like to wirelessly charge your phone or have more connectivity, there's definitely no shortage of that. So you have two USB-C, two USB ports, and the auxiliary outlet wireless charger. Big cup holders over here. If you needed more storage, you can actually open this up, more storage and more chargers over here. So you have your 12-volt charger, you have your USB and USB-C over here as well. And one last thing to check out is the overall view of this dashboard. So this is nice soft material. This leather look-like material, some of the contrast stitching. Do we have the head-up display? Not on this model. I believe you need to go to the Pinnacle to get that. And what else do we have? It's a regular mirror, and up here you have your sunroof control. So this is your tilt sunroof control. You can also actually slide this open right there. Okay, it does have the nice sunscreen. Close it. And if you'd like to actually close this whole huge sunshade, that's a one-touch operation, and look how much darker it's gonna get inside of this vehicle. So that actually delivers a lot of light inside of the car. Now, what else do we have here? You can open and close the doors from here, open and close the rear gate. You do have the sunglass holder and the regular lights. Okay, these are not the touch lights. You actually have to press the button over here. And your HomeLink system is right on the visor. The mirrors are illuminated for the driver, passenger as well. This is it. This is the interior of this 2022 Chrysler Pacifica. Take it for a spin. About to take this vehicle for a spin, guys. Really quickly, we're going to go through some of the trim levels that are available for 2022 Pacifica. So Touring is the base model. It's only available in front-wheel drive and starts at $37,095. Then the Touring L, it starts at $41,095, and then you have the option to get either front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, and the all-wheel drive will add about $3,000. So let's see, 41 to 44, yep, $3,000. Limited, it starts at $49,172, $51,967 if you go for the all-wheel drive. So different trim levels. It looks like the all-wheel drive adds the different amount. Pinnacle, $54,167, $56,962, so about $2,800 or so for the all-wheel drive Unlimited and the Pinnacle trims. But those are the trim levels that are available. Now, this is for the regular Pacifica. There's also a Pacifica Hybrid that's available, and that starts at $46,978, but then it's available in the Touring L, Limited, and the Pinnacle, and it looks like it's about $3,000 more, but they're available only in front-wheel drive models. So if you need the all-wheel drive, you really need to look for the regular non-hybrid vehicle. So these are the models that are available. If you'd like to see more features of any of them, you can go to Chrysler.com. It's really easy because they only have the Pacifica, Pacifica Hybrid, and the 300 series. That's it out of Chrysler. There's nothing else that's available. Let's take this vehicle for a spin and see how it drives. So obviously, we're going to check out the turning radius, which I'm doing right now. And it is very tight, very nice. And since it sits lower to the ground, you feel very safe. There's very little body roll. We have a few bumps here in this parking lot, and it seems like it's handling it pretty well. Obviously, the ground clearance is nowhere near any of the SUVs, but if you do have some snow or maybe some slippery conditions like wet roads or anything like this one, being an all-wheel drive can handle that with ease, no issues. Well guys, if you followed any of the Chryslers before, you know that the 3.6 liter Pentastar engine is probably one of the engines that used pretty much across the board. You mean you find the Wranglers and the Cherokees or the Grand Cherokees with it, and I just did the braking a little bit harder than I anticipated. It dove a little bit, but it stopped the vehicle right where it's supposed to be. Anyways, going back to the engine, so not the most exciting engine in the world, but it does its job. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. It takes this vehicle from point A to point B. As far as the acceleration, we're going to be able to check that out firsthand in just a little bit, since I'm on the red light. So I'm going to do a little bit of that and test it out for you. Overall, the vehicle is quiet on the interior, so the cabin is nicely insulated and it feels really good driving it. I mean, it does have all of the amenities of the luxury sedan or luxury vehicle. I mean, it does have that Napa leather, which feels really, really nice. Like I said, the front seats are much more comfortable than the back seats, but that's where the driving happens, so that needs to be. Now, as far as the visibility out of this car, that's another important thing. It does have just the right size mirrors. It does have even this little triangle windows on the sides over here to give you a little bit more visibility. The front windshield is not as big, and you have, if you turn around, you have a lot of windows, so few blind spots. Check out the acceleration. Okay, 0 to 60 is really not important. We got it up at about 47, 48. You can feel this engine working, but then again, you're not buying a minivan to race. However, if you remember, Mercedes had an attempt of a really, really fast minivan. There was a Mercedes-Benz R63 AMG, which has this really powerful engine. But it's probably the only one that I remember that ever attempted being a sporty minivan. And this quick U-turn over here to once again check out the turning radius and merging at the same time to get safely merged into the traffic. Okay, and then again a little bit of acceleration here. All right, we got 45. No big deal. We're at 50 miles per hour right now, so very substantial for a minivan. So to sum it all up, guys, there's a few things that I like about this vehicle and a few things that are not so much. So let's start with the things that I think could use some improvement. Well, first of all, the rear view camera. It could have a better quality, especially this is a family-oriented SUV, which there's a lot of emphasis on the safety, so that should have the top-of-the-line camera system. I think that's lacking a little bit on that. As far as the third row seats, I mean, I love that they have the ability to stow and go, but it does take a while for this whole thing to process, right? So if you're in the rush and you want to just drop the seats, you don't have the ability to do that. So it would be nice to actually have a manual option for that as well. The rear seats don't go back and forth. I think that's the price you pay for the ability to have the stow and go and have them hide directly into the floor, which is a great feature. And then that is pretty much it. The gas mileage could be a little bit better, but I guess you can go with the hybrid, but then you give up that all-wheel drive system in order to get that. So 20 miles per gallon combined, well, that doesn't really excite anybody no more, especially with Toyota Sienna having over 30 miles per gallon combined. I mean, you look at the competition, you kind of weigh out your options. Well, the things that I like about this vehicle, well, you know, one of the things is the comfort of it, the visibility, the outward visibility, the dimensions, the easiness of getting in and out, the ability to fold the second seats into the floor, feel of more of a luxurious sedan in here. Now there's still some improvements could be made, like on these door panels. I still think they could have a little bit more of that luxurious feel, but that's just me being picky. Well, and maybe I should be, since, you know, this vehicle is over $50,000, and that should be some quality that comes along with that. But with that said, I mean, guys, if you're looking for a minivan, there's not many choices that you have. As I said in the beginning of this video, you only have Toyota, Honda, Kia, and Chrysler, so check them all out before making the decision. They're all great vehicles. Thanks for watching. I hope you like videos like this. I hope you like the rest of my channel. If you do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.